I'm sure that most people have read or watched Harry Potter before. Today, our group will present you with different ideas with more of the literature studies. So, my first question to you all. Behind the novel, does it teach you anything valuable at all? Or perhaps it's just a fantasy novel? What do you think?
Biography of J.K. Rowling, or Joanne Cutler Rowling. She was born in England in 1965. When she was the age of teenager, she wasn't happy because of her mother's illness and had broken relationship with her father. In 1990s, while she was on the train to London, she has the idea of a story about a kid in wizardry school. She began to write her first Harry Potter book with an old typewriter. In 26 June 1997, the book was first published in the United Kingdom. Within a few years, J.K. Rowling became a best-selling author. In March 2001, Harry Potter books were adapted into Hollywood film. She also received an OBE, it stands for Order of the British Empire, Medal of Achievement from Queen Elizabeth II of England.
Harry Potter was a young boy who lives with his relatives. They raised Harry for his parents who were killed by Voldemort when he was just a baby. While Harry is being raised, his relatives despises him a lot. One day, there were letters for Harry requesting for him to stay at Hogwarts. Harry's relatives tried to destroy them, but it keeps coming for Harry. It was then on Harry's birthday when a giant wizard named Hagrid came and told Harry the truth, and brought him to Hogwarts. Hagrid takes Harry to London at the Wizards' commercial street known as Diagon Alley, where they would shop for supplies, uniforms, books, ingredients for potions, and a magic wand. The wand that Harry is able to possess is a companion wand to Voldemort's wand. Harry takes a train to Hogwarts and met Ron Weasley and Hermione Granger. When they arrive at Hogwarts, all the first-year students take turns putting on the sorting hat that to be assigned into one of the 4 houses. Harry, Ron, and Hermione all were put into the Gryffindor house. In the first broom flying lesson, Neville was injured and taken to the hospital, and Draco Malfoy took an item from him and flew off with it. Harry chases after him and retrieves it. Professor McGonagall witnesses everything and recommends Harry to join the Quidditch team. Later that day, Malfoy challenges Harry to duel at midnight, but doesn't show up. Harry was almost in trouble while he was trying to hide, but accidentally found a 3-headed dog guarding a trapdoor. On Halloween, a troll was found in the building. The students are being escorted back to their dormitories, but Harry and Ron sneak off trying to find Hermione, unaware of the troll. They rescued Hermione from the troll. On Harry's first Quidditch match, Harry's broom was being out of control, and Hermione notices that Snape was muttering a curse. Hermione casts fire to Snape's clothes, and Harry regains control of the broom, declaring victory for Gryffindor. On Christmas, Harry receives an invisibility cloak from his father. He uses the cloak at night to explore the school. He discovers the mirror of Erised that shows deepest desires, and saw his parents standing beside him. After Christmas, Harry, Ron, and Hermione starts to find the mysterious connections between the break-in at Gringotts and the 3-headed guard dog, in which they learn that it was guarding the Sorcerer's Stone. Hagrid won a dragon egg in a poker game. Since it's illegal to own dragons, Harry, Ron, and Hermione tried to contact Ron's brother to study dragons. They were to get rid of the dragon, but was caught and punished. Gryffindor loses points, and they'll have to go with Hagrid to find out who or what was killing the unicorns in the forest recently. Harry comes across a hooded man who was drinking unicorn blood. He tried to attack Harry, but was rescued by a friendly centaur. He told Harry that the hooded man was Voldemort's assailant, and that Voldemort is trying to steal the Sorcerer's Stone. Harry decides that he has to get to the stone before Voldemort does. Harry, Ron, and Hermione sneak off at night, past the guard dogs, perform impressive feats, bringing them closer to the stone. Harry finds himself face-to-face with Professor Quirrell unexpectedly. Quirrell declares that Harry should die, and with Harry's desire to find the stone, Quirrell puts Harry in front of the mirror of Erised, and the stone is found in his pocket. Harry lies to Quirrell, but a voice tells him otherwise, and requests to speak to him face-to-face. Quirrell removes his turban, and reveals Voldemort's face at the back of his head. Voldemort instructs Quirrell to kill Harry, but is burned when in contact with him. Harry passes out. Harry woke up in the hospital with Dumbledore explaining that he was there in time to save him from Quirrell, and that he and his partner decide to destroy the stone. At the end of the year banquet, Slytherin is celebrating their win of the House Championship Cup, but Dumbledore then adds many last-minute points to Gryffindor for Harry and his friends' accomplishments, winning the House Cup for Gryffindor. Harry returns to London for the summer.
Now we're going to look at the character analysis. For the first one, we're going to start off as Harry Potter. Harry Potter is the protagonist of the story, who is gradually transformed from timid weakling to powerful hero by the end. Marked on the forehead with the lightning-shaped scar, Harry is marked also by the confrontation between good and bad magic that caused the scar. The story eventually becomes a tale of Harry's vengeance for the wrongful deed. As he matures, he shows himself to be a caring, matured, a loyal friend, and an excellent Quidditch player. Harry grows up to be a timid boy, unsure of his abilities. His sudden fame as a wizard at Hogwarts comes not just as a total contrast to his earlier forgotten mystery, but as a fate that the series very much deserved after his joyful suffering. Harry does not reveal his success. He simply asks Dumbledore a few factual questions and is satisfied with the answers, never expecting any praise. He just wants to make sure that the stone and its power do not fall into the wrong hands. The simplicity of his desire is part of what makes him a hero. The next one is Hermione Granger. Hermione Granger is an annoying goody two-shoes who studies too much and obeys the school rules too zealously. Hermione eventually becomes friendly with Harry after she learns to value friendship over perfectionism and obedience. She comes from a purely Marken family. Her character develops significantly over the course of the story and shed light on Harry's character as well. At the outset, she is an annoying perfectionist, a goody two-shoes who has read all the books for her class in advance and also has learned all about Hogwarts and never break the rules. Next is Ron Weasley. Ron is Harry's first friend at Hogwarts. He's a shy, modest boy who comes from just a normal wizard family. He lacks Harry's gusto and charisma, but his loyalty and help are useful to Harry throughout the adventures. Also, despite his wizard background, he reminds us that success at Hogwarts is based solely on talent and hard work, not family connection. The next one is Albus Dumbledore. Albus Dumbledore is the Kai Wycliffe of Hogwarts. Though he is a famous wizard, Dumbledore is as humble and adorable as his name suggests. While other school officials, such as Professor McGonagall, are obsessed with the rules, Dumbledore respects them, but does not exaggerate their importance. He appears to have an almost superhuman level of wisdom, knowledge, and personal understanding, and it seems that he may have set up the whole quest for the Sorcerer's Stone so that Harry could prove himself. So the next one is our villain, Voldemort. Voldemort is a great wizard who's done really bad things. When he killed Harry's parents, he gave Harry a lightning shape scar. Also, he wanted to shape Harry's life, so that Harry's ultimate destruction of him appears a kind of vengeance. Voldemort, whose name in French means either fight or date, or this or date, is associated both with high-flying magic and with deceit throughout the story. Also, Voldemort's big point is that he cannot understand love, and because of that, he cannot touch Harry's body, which still bears the traces of Harry's mother's love for her son. Snape, a professor of potion at Hogwarts. Severus Snape dislikes Harry and appears to be an evil man for most of the story. His name associates him not only with unfair snap judgment of others, but also with his violent intention to snap the bones of his enemies. Snape's good against Harry, which is never led far from a murderous evil, help us remember the difference between forgivable vices and unforgivable evil intentions. Professor Quirrell, a stutter and seemingly harmless man and professor of defense against the dark art at Hogwarts. Quirrell appears as nervous and Squirrel as his name suggests for most of the story. It is he, for example, who nearly fell when announcing the news that a troll is ruled in the school. It turns out later. However, the Quirrell has faked his withdrawing, meekness, and is actually a cold-blooded conniver.
The value of humility. Harry's humility is no doubt ingrained in him. During his 10 miserable years of neglect and cruelty with the Dursleys. But Harry does not stop being humble when he gains fame, wealth, and popularity at Hogwarts. His reaction to the discovery that everyone seemed to know his name on the train to Hogwarts does not make him prim and pose, but rather only make him hope that he can manage to live up to his reputation. In this respect, he contrasts sharply with Draco Malfoy, who prides himself on his family reputation and downplays achievements. If Harry were less humble, he would be unable to seize the stone. He is the extreme opposite of Voldemort, who strives only to achieve his own selfish goals. The occasional necessity of rebellion. Harry's occasional rebellions against the rules are not vices or failures. Later, they enhance his heroism because they show that he is able to think for himself and make his own judgments. One of the main reasons of the story is that while rules are good and necessary, sometimes it is necessary to question and even break them for the right reason. The dangers of desert. Desert is not necessarily wrong or bad, as Dumbledore explains to Harry in front of the Miller of Elysium, that Harry's desire to see his parents alive is touching and noble. But overall, desert is dangerous in that it can make people lose perspective on life, which is why Dumbledore advises Harry not to seek out the Miller again. Having dreams is good, but stuck in dim analysis to come out to face the truth is also dangerous. Living with the truth is true happiness. Motifs are recurring structures, contrasts, or literary devices that can help to develop and inform the text's major themes. Muggle is ordinary person or person who lacks any source of magical ability and was not born in a magical family. The point of the story is not that Muggles are bad and wizards are good, or even that Muggles are boring while wizards are exciting. Its point is rather that the world is made up of different types of people with different attitudes and different desires, who should be able to coexist. For example, Hogwarts has the coexistence of students from purebred wizards and Muggle background. The point. One of the central aspects of life at Hogwarts is the ongoing competition for the house championship, which is determined by the greatest accumulation of points. Students accumulate points for their house by behaving well, answering questions in class, and by winning at Quidditch. They will lose points for performing bad behavior. Having athletic excellence is can earn points as well. Moral and spiritual achievement is rewarded, but so is physical achievement. The point system thus symbolizes the need for a careful accounting of one's actions, as a careless penalty could result in defeat for one's fears. Authority. Both admirable and bogus versions of authority pop up throughout the story. Bogus authority first appears in the figure of Mr. and Mrs. Dursley, who order Harry around with no sense of appropriateness. Their authority is based solely on power. They are the adults with financial and physical superiority over children, and in their mind, they feel entitled to treat Harry like a slave. By the end of the story, Dumbledore emerges as the true authority figure. Dumbledore has immense power but does not use it. When he wants Harry to stop visiting the Wizard of Irises, he recommends that Harry stop going instead of ordering him to stop, based on wisdom and kindness, rather than raw power. Dumbledore's model of authority becomes Harry's own.
That's the most important symbol in this noble story. Harry's scar. The lightning-shaped scar on Harry's forehead represents Harry's past life that Harry links to the Lord Voldemort, and also represent unique and emotional sensitivity. Quidditch, that represents the important value and high morality. It is game for the wizards and witches war, that each flying on the broomstick and players attempt to throw off the ball. Mirrors of Fairies represent your keepers, desperate desire, and dangerous. This lesson teaches us who we are literally the reflections of ourselves that we can see in the mirror, and also don't overrun yourself this impossible dream until you lose your mind as you present life. The tones. In the story, the tone is straightforward, simple and interesting, and also it is fitting for children to read. There's also a lot of mood in this story, and we are going to give 2 examples. First, excitement. Once Harry is learning that he is heading to do more with his life, and he became overenjoying when he learned he can read the Dursley to be as Hogwarts. Second, astonished, because Harry arrived at Hogwarts and he became amazed by the giant's castle and the cool classes that Harry and his friend get to experience. And third, triumph, because after the Harry moved to the Hogwarts, he accomplished over a lifetime his success on learning to fly, joined the Quidditch team, fighting a giant troll, and overcoming a curse to win a Quidditch match.
So, let's come back to this question that I have asked you earlier. Behind the novel, does it teach us anything valuable? Well, Dumbledore once said, "It is our choice that show what we truly are." It is the most certain statement that we all live by our choice. We either make good or bad decisions. That is up to you. The Harry Potter books are not just a novel. They are modern fairy tale with the predominant spiritual theme. They describe the struggle between good and evil and the ultimate victory of the good throughout the encouragement and humanity and the power of human love. There's no good or evil, only power and those to resist it, Professor Squirrel once said. The good is pure good, and the evil is pure evil. There's no gray area or confusion. While the good struggle with the evil, the competent are not free to choose sides. They are forced into their camp by their character. Victory hang on to those who can come up with a stronger method.
The war between good and evil is not struggle over the heart and mind of humanity. J.K. Rowling message in this theory that the love wins over anything. That love overcomes even the death. Harry is protected by his mother love. So trivial that Lord Voldemort's killing curse is unable to break it.